Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to episode 26 of Young Justice, Auld Aquaintance. We begin this episode in Washington, D.C. on December 31st, New Year's Eve, where we see Red Arrow barely manages to escape from mind-controlled Justice League members. Later on at Mount Justice, we see the Young Justice team are still trying to figure out who the mole is, but Batman and Red Tornado tell them that Red Arrow was the mole. But that's not all they tell them. We find out that Red Arrow is actually a clone of the real Roy Harper, who was abducted and replaced by the clone shortly after he became Green Arrow's sidekick Speedy, which happened 3 years ago. Red Arrow was programmed to be very driven to join the Justice League, and that's why he always reacted rather angry. Yeah, that's why he always acted very angry whenever he was delayed from becoming a member of the Justice League. And he also decided to strike out on his own as a hero to prove himself as worthy of joining the Justice League. But Red Arrow never realized that he was a clone, and he never realized that he was the mole. And his secondary program kicked in once he became a member of the Justice League, betrayed the rest of the League to Vandal Savage. Now, Batman's story starts to differ from what we saw at the end of the previous episode, Usual Suspects. Batman claims that he anticipated Red Arrow to be a clone and that they managed to subdue Vandal Savage, but Red Arrow managed to escape. He also tells the Young Justice team that they are not to locate Red Arrow because Red Arrow is a member of the Justice League and thus is the Justice League's responsibility. Batman then tells Red Tornado to stay with the kids while he goes off to take care of something. Yeah, mentally, the Young Justice team talk to each other and they decide that they are going to find Red Arrow anyway because he is their friend and he was a member of the Young Justice team for a time. But then Red Tornado suddenly shuts down as he's closing in on Aqualad, and Zatanna admits that she's sensing low-level magical energy, and she sensed it on Batman as well. Robin adds that Batman called them kids, something he never does, and they find a piece of Starotech in Red Tornado's hand, and they're trying to figure out what is going on here exactly. So they decide to split into two groups. Aqualad, Superboy, Miss Martian, and Artemis will go find Red Arrow, while Robin, Zatanna, Kid Flash, and Rocket will try to figure out a way to get Red Tornado back online. So the groups have their missions, their respective missions, and they set off to complete them. So Zatanna remembers Red Tornado's John Smith body, the android body that he was creating to interact with humans as if he were human. So they head up to his apartment to download Red Tornado's mind into the John Smith body. Black Canary arrives, and just around the time when Red Tornado's mind is fully downloaded into John Smith, and Red Tornado urges the team that they need to get out of there, Black Canary unleashes a canary cry and tries to attack the four team members that are present, but they're able to knock her out with a combination of Robin's knockout gas and Rocket's force field to contain the knockout gas around Black Canary. After that happens, Red Tornado stresses once again they need to get out of there. So the four team members present Red Tornado, both his original body and his John Smith body, and Black Canary, who they tie up so that she won't attack them once she regains consciousness, all leave the cave in the super cycle, and just in time too, because more Justice League members were entering the cave. Red Tornado says that they need to keep the radio communication off and that the super cycle will just have to track Superboy's signal because they can't let the Justice League find them. And back with the other group searching for Red Arrow, they're in Washington, D.C. because they found out from the computers that Red Arrow used Zeta Beam technology to get to Washington, D.C. That's the most latest, and that's the latest entry for Red Arrow. And Aqualad figures he's in a building that Red Arrow uses to stash his equipment. He has buildings like that all over major cities after he struck out on his own. And Aqualad's hunch is accurate. Red Arrow is hiding there. But Aqualad tries to assure Red Arrow that they're not here to capture him or to harm him, but they do need answers. But Red Arrow wants answers too, or he wants to validate that Aqualad is not under the control of Starotech. So he questions Aqualad, something that only Aqualad would know, something that he told Aqualad, something that Aqualad told Red Arrow, and Red Arrow only. Red Arrow questions who broke Aqualad's heart. Aqualad confirms that Tula is the one who broke his heart when she and Garth became a couple, and Garth is Aqualad's best friend in Atlantis, while he says Red Arrow is his, as in Aqualad's best friend on the surface. Red Arrow accepts this answer, so he goes with the Aqualad, Superboy, Miss Martian, and Artemis. And Red Arrow confirms that yes, he was the mole, but he wasn't aware of it until after all of his programming had been fulfilled. And Red Arrow pieces together that Sportsmaster was his handler. The phrase that Sportsmaster said in Target's Broken Arrow, that was the trigger to get Red Arrow to shut down or to put him in a trance so that Sportsmaster could extract information and implement any new programming. And the programming finally wore off after it was all fulfilled. And Red Arrow figured that Vandal Savage was going to use Starotech on him, but Red Arrow managed to escape because Vandal Savage took a moment to, as Red Arrow put it, bask in his victory. And Red Tornado tells the group that he's with that the Starotech was powered up both technologically and magically, so it could infect anyone. Human, normal, or superpowered, alien, magical being, or robot were all affected. But it takes, according to Red Tornado, it takes 0.16 nanoseconds to fully possess or to fully control the person that it's infecting. So Red Tornado's programming was able to come up with a failsafe where his body would shut down if he tried to infect someone else with Starotech. And Red Tornado also mentions that the Starotech is body exclusive, which means in the John Smith body, he's safe from the Starotech. And then the two groups meet up and they're about to compare notes, but Black Canary regains consciousness. A bit more time has passed and we're now on the Watchtower, and we see that Clarion is on the Watchtower with Vandal Savage. Black Canary, Red Tornado, and Red Arrow all arrive, and they claim, or Black Canary claims, that she managed to reinfect Red Tornado and infect Red Arrow, and the Young Justice team with Starotech. But Vandal Savage isn't fooled, and neither is Clarion, because when they're infected with the Starotech, they know exactly who it is. Clarion has a way to know who is in control of who's being controlled by the Starotech, and none of them are. So the mind-controlled Hal Jordan traps them with his power ring, and Vandal Savage proceeds to put Starotech in them. He plans to infect them with Starotech, and he rants about his motives, saying that he's existed for about 50,000 years, I believe is what he says. And he says that what's troubled him the most is the founding of the Justice League, because he doesn't like that the Justice League tries to protect humanity, because he thinks it interferes with the survival of the fittest idea, saying that protecting humanity is preventing it from from evolving essentially he says that by protecting humanity, it's preventing Earth from evolving into taking focus as the center of the cosmos. And that's why Vandal Savage why he opposes the Justice League. And he came up with the idea with 6 other individuals. They formed the Light, and he said that they took a point to be on top of technological advances, to have important individuals in important positions, and to have all kinds of mind control at their disposal. But what Vandal Savage doesn't realize is that the Young Justice team managed to sneak onto the Watchtower because Red Tornado deactivated the security system before he arrived on the Watchtower. And this gives the Young Justice team the chance to use Cure Tech. What happened was they had Mira and Volko, Mira and Volko of Atlantis, and Dr. Roquette and Dr. Spence create a vaccine and antidote for Starotech. And they were able to create enough of it so they could de-infect the Justice League members, and they're taking care of it one at a time. But when Clarion notices that Justice League members are no longer in their control, they figure out what happens. And so they call in, they use boom tube technology to summon 6 Justice League members who were not on the Watchtower. Those 6 members are Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Jon Stewart, Hawkwoman, and Martian Manhunter. So we get a big battle, and it takes a lot of time, and it's a very intense battle, but in the end, the Injustice team successfully managed to use Cure Tech on all the Justice League members. Vandal Savage decides that he and Clarion need to escape now, saying that they need the Justice League alive for Phase 2 of their plan. So they escape, and shortly after they escape, it's now New Year's. That's right, it's become midnight. Red Tornado congratulates the Young Justice team for winning the day, and what happens is Kid Flash and Artemis share a kiss, Superboy and Miss Martian share a kiss, Robin and Zatanna share a kiss, and Aqualad and Rocket share a kiss. And Red Tornado's response is that human customs still elude him. Later on, Superboy and Miss Martian are enjoying time together, but Miss Martian leaves for a moment, and Superman arrives, and he congratulates Superboy on a job well done. And he mentions that he heard Superboy took up a civilian name, and when he hears it's Connor Kent, Superman reveals he's Clark Kent, and he assures Superboy that he's not offended by the last name. He actually thinks it feels right. Red Arrow is still in despair over the fact that he's a clone, and he's determined to find Speedy and figure out what happened to him. We then cut to Cadmus, where we find out that the rest of the Light members have they put Guardian in a hypnotic state, or they shut him down, and they're raiding Cadmus essentially to take whatever they need before the Justice League arrives. And they take the real Roy Harper. We see that one of his an arm is missing on him, and they also take Match with them. But back with the Watchtower, Red Arrow is determined to find the real Speedy, and Robin points out that there was 16 full hours where the 6 Justice League members that arrived through boom tube technology, they were gone for 16 hours, and they have no idea what they did during those 16 hours. And that's how we end the episode. Now, here we are, the season 1 finale of Young Justice, and it was definitely full of surprises and a lot of intense moments. Red Arrow was actually a clone. I remember being very surprised by that when I first saw the episode. And the Justice League being under mind control, and the Young Justice team had to go against them. It was mentioned in the episode that because the Justice League were being manually controlled by Clarion, that actually was what gave the Young Justice team a chance to win. So, that was a pretty clever way to go about that. And I know some people thought the cure tech seemed a little too easy of a solution, but I guess I figured they were able to reverse engineer it. I guess they figured creating the Starro tech was the hard part. Trying to figure out an antidote would probably seem easier in comparison. And they did have magical and scientific minds behind it, so I was okay with the cure tech solution. Otherwise, we also had Superman finally showing some acceptance for Superboy, and that was a heartwarming moment, but at the same time, it would have been nice if the show had showed some more scenes of maybe Superboy and Superman making some progress. That might have been a nice touch to have done so, because I mentioned this before. I pretty much enjoy all the episodes of Young Justice. There isn't an episode that I dislike, but at the same time, there are things I probably think could have been done a little differently. And another thing here is, I'll admit, is as far as the Light members go, Ocean Master really drew the short stick, and it becomes especially notable in season 2. You'll know what I mean when we get to that point. But otherwise, they do end with that big cliffhanger at the end with 6 of the members of the Justice League, the ones that arrived into the Watchtower through a boom tube portal. They were unaccounted for 16 hours. That's a pretty good mystery to end the episode on. And season 2 is going to be full of surprises too. So there we go. We've now discussed all the episodes of season 1 of Young Justice on this channel. And I have to say, I feel like I enjoyed the later half of season 1 more than the beginning half, but I still enjoyed the beginning half. Like I said, Young Justice is a TV series where I pretty much enjoy all the episodes, but I do think it improved in the later half of season 1. And we'll be sure to discuss season 2 once we do the recap and thoughts for those episodes. And there we go for episode 26 of Young Justice on this channel. Take care, and until next time.